Welcome, everyone, to our wrestling podcast. I'm Jess, along with Craig and Cuz, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from some diehard fans sharing their opinions with you. Today's topic, wrestling flip-flops. For audio fans, give us a
We
listen
miss
on
you,
Apple,
Dave.
Spotify.
We miss you so much.
Fuck you, Dave.
We miss you so much.
Now I gotta turn into Dave. If you guys keep talking over me, I cannot tell everybody where to find this. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. Watch and subscribe on our YouTube channel, our wrestling channel, and on Daily Motion. On social media, we are on Instagram, Facebook, and X under at our wrestling podcast, O.W.P 2019.
Wow, that was rough, buddy.
That was
Nailed
fine.
it.
That was smooth.
Nailed it.
That was smooth. That was like
No,
an
you
Olympic
did.
performance where they just stick the
flawless.
landing.
Who needs
So
to
you're a
hate?
linguist. You should teach speech.
Yeah. So take that, Dave, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Craig, what are we doing here, huh? Wrestling flip-flops. What?
We're talking flip-floppy. We are talking.
It is summertime. So.
Yeah, you need them. Get
Talking about
those
those
top
different types of sandals you can wear
Tanda.
in the summer.
Yeah, we're talking about wrestlers that Jess came up with this, and it's a fantastic idea. Wrestlers you might not have gotten back in the day when you were watching early during your heyday that you learned to respect or turn the page on, right? So I don't get them, and then all of a sudden you realize and respect them, and vice versa to that. People you maybe liked and got and loved, and then later on you said, oh no, I was wrong, and I don't respect them, and I just completely flip-flop on my entire thinking of their work rate, whatever, person and charisma and whatever. Like just time kind of heals everything. So Jess, did I sum that up kind of correctly or
You did wonderful.
anything? Thank you.
You did wonderful. Now we're going to go around the table. It's going to be free form, and we can just give our offerings. And yeah, it could be either way. It could be from the side of you loved them as a kid, and as you got older, maybe you learned something about them, or maybe you just go, man, they weren't really as good as like they were being praised back in the day, or vice versa. Like you didn't really think of anybody or didn't connect with them, and then as you get older, you're like, man, like I really respect that person. Like I wish I liked them more when I was younger or coming up. So who wants to go first? Huh? You want to go, Craig?
Sure, I'll go.
Don't fucking take anybody that I.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. We should have probably compared notes. And I actually, there's nothing more I would love to take either of your picks. I'm going to go with the guy I never really got back in the day, and partly because I was a Laps fan, and partly maybe I wasn't fully invested during the heyday. But now looking back after tail end of the Attitude Era, tail end. Okay. But yes. And it wasn't until maybe the last couple of years that I've turned the page on this guy and said, oh my God, I didn't realize how brilliant he was. Maybe he was overshadowed.
I didn't know it.
Maybe I don't know. That man's name is Christian.
Never mind.
Christian Cage.
Oh, all right.
So despite all his TLC stuff, despite all like his accolades, I never really bought into how it was never top tier for me. I was never a Christian guy or whatever. Just the last couple of years, I've completely turned around and said, this guy's a genius, and I've missed him almost the whole time.
I've always liked Christian. And to me, like one of the greatest moments was, I think it was Raw in London when he came out with Tyson Tomko, and he was cutting a promo, and then Vince came out. I think he was talking shit on John Cena. Oh, because he's talked shit. He said, I'll whoop Marky Mark's ass all over the place, and and the whole crowd just popped for him. And then Vince he's like, you're gonna fight Batista. Yeah. But I remember that in like shining moment. I was happy because I'm like, fuck yeah, like Christian's getting love. Like this crowd is popping huge for him right now. And he was like, going to tongue to tongue with Vince, just cutting a promo with Vince and just.
And they had tried before. They tried different like things with him at the end of the Attitude Era, and then in what was it 2004 they put him with Trish. Remember when Trish and heard that Trish and Christian turned on Jericho WrestleMania 20. But yeah, that was like, they tried and I just felt like it didn't work. And then like, now the work that he's doing in AEW, I'm like, man, why wouldn't they just push him to the moon? Like,
but what, like, was I wrong? Like, did I like Christian less than people? Like,
no, there's people that
I
didn't,
I think, yes, I think some people did like him, like Cuz always did kind of like him. But I think, you're right, because it was always Edge got the spotlight when they were a tag team. Yeah. And Edge kind of became like the first breakout single star.
That's
and
what it is.
Vince never had confidence in Christian.
Craig, that tells me you're a...
Christian, turn it around! Oh, my goodness! That counts right! Oh, he's got it! Oh, he's got it! Oh, he's got it! He's got it! Oh, my goodness!
Go for the
God
big stars.
damn.
That's it.
Wow.
Guys like
No,
Roman
Craig,
Reigns?
you're justified. That's a good one. Cuz, do you want to go second? What do you got? Don't say anything I was gonna say. Don't say anything.
Honestly, like they're mine are gonna be more like it's not that I didn't like was an extreme where
The
I
entire
didn't like
AEW roster.
No, mine are like more like it's not like an extreme where it was like, oh, I didn't like the guy and then I did, or I did like the guy a lot and I didn't like. It's more of like I just Hogan. That's one of my picks right there. Like where it was always for me, it was always Ultimate Warrior. Like Ultimate Warrior was my number one guy,
Yeah,
and
he
then
was like
Macho
your
Man, but
childhood,
then
yeah.
I went straight to Brett, and then it was Austin, and then it was Austin no matter what. And obviously I recognized Hogan for what he was, but I was like didn't care for him. And then God, when he came, I love his run 2002 to 2005. I love it. I became a huge fan. Well, I was a huge fan because of the NWO
The
too.
late run.
No, I was a huge fan because of the NWO when he turned and everything. I love that too. But like I think more like appreciating him wrestling, like just in wrestling, like in general, like having matches with guys that you never thought you were gonna see, like with Brock and The Rock and Angle and all these, newer big stars in wrestling. So it was like,
Jericho, didn't you wrestle with Jericho a little bit?
yeah, he did.
During that time.
So it was just stuff like that. And then he had the tag team with Edge too.
Oh yeah, with Edge, yeah.
Yeah. I forgot what the tag team was called, but yeah, I mean Hogan was just one of those guys.
Partially stole my.
That's
partially
funny
stole
from
my thunder.
the perspective of that fan. So you didn't particularly, but he turned around at you towards the very, very end, not NWO Hulk.
I was always in. I was never into the number one guys, like in that.
That's
I remember
Rock
you
and
were in
Hogan
Austin.
in that return.
Yeah, you were in Austin huge when Austin.
Yeah,
was
Austin because he was the anti-hero. That's what it was. Like that's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
like I'm joking when I say that about you, but like everyone liked Edge, but I like Christian. Like I like Christian a lot. I liked Edge too,
Yeah.
but I liked Christian a lot. I wanted to see. I wanted
Now
to
that's
see
interesting.
Christian
You
thrive.
kind of half stole my thunder, but I'm not gonna
Uh-oh.
unbox it yet.
Oh.
This has got to send chills up and down your spine. Hogan with that big boot. And now, oh my, a leg drop. A huge leg drop. What about it? Hulkamania is still alive. Hulkamania.
My guy is William Regal.
Oh,
that's a
great
good one. Yeah, that we didn't
When we were
appreciate.
growing up in '93 and '94, like we were like, oh, like, every time he came on, we're like another 20-minute draw. My God, like
It's true.
and that was the whole
Hated it.
crux of his TV. We did not respect William Regal at all in like 93, 94. And then he did he's a man, and that sucked. And then like I
mean,
didn't
it
start
sucked,
really
but-
getting him until he started doing like I don't think he had done the training stuff yet. But that run that he had where out of nowhere, like he made it to the finals. They brought the King of the Ring back and it was done on a Raw. And the finals was him and CM Punk. And not only did him and CM Punk tear the house down, they had a great match. When they put the crown on him, that he was king. Like I was like every week I was like, dude, Regal's fucking badass. Like Regal's
he was
really
great.
good. And then when he changed his wrestling style and he got a little bit more modern before he retired, he was hanging out with like these young guys and fucking
NXT.
showing them up in there and like being great
NXT,
and like
with Chris Hero, with Ambrose,
yes.
with Cesaro.
Yes,
He had
yeah.
he had a great feud with Chris Hero in NXT.
Punk, it's locked in. Regal's got the Regal strips locked in. Punk was able to get out of the walls of Jericho, but can he get out of this Regal strips after that? And no, not tonight. CM Punk forced a tap out. It's the king.
And the king of the ring, William Regal.
What a shock.
Regal. So I'm embarrassed to say that in 94, 95, I did not respect Regal at all. I thought he was boring. And
That's a
then
good
after
choice.
that,
That's a great
like
choice.
That's a good one.
yeah, I really started to I respect him
is-
like crazy now. Like obviously we all do, but like he's amazing. But like man, I look back on his 93, 94 and we'll do some of the retro reviews that we do. And I'm like, this match was fucking great. Like, why did I not think that like back in the day? I don't know what it was. His presentation or something to me was just like, ugh, like boring. I don't know why, but that's my round one pick. Craig, what's the second one for you?
I'll go Bobby Eaton. I'll go a guy that
That's very interesting.
like you're always like, I don't get it. Like he was always there, workhorse. He was there every Saturday. He was there every Monday. Always just having like that lower mid card status. And it's like, but when you hear the people talk about him and you go back and remember how much of a workhorse he was, didn't matter what position he was in, but he was tag teaming. I mean, he was so pasty, he was so pale, he had terrible hair, but he was such an amazing worker, and he could go, and he was a bump machine, and he could do everything. And the fact that he's so respected by everybody, I didn't really see it back then, and kind of gradually, you realize, thank you, Bobby, for like, and I'm sorry for the
I
hate.
can completely see that actually, because I get it. Like, I liked him as part of the Midnight Express and everything, but you heard just praise always heaped on him. So it's easy to look at that back in the day and go, I don't think anything's so special. What's so special? And then now we go back and look, we're like, oh, okay. Like, he was just a really good professional wrestler. Like, he knew where he was at all times. Like, he was guiding his opponent in there. We didn't even know it. So that's a really, really good offering.
Yeah.
Cuz you got another one, huh?
Yeah, it was Undertaker. I you know
Undertaker was on my
Oh,
list.
didn't hate
Undertaker
him.
was on my list.
fuck, that's actually really cool. He wasn't on my list. Wow.
Didn't hate him,
Wow.
but like it was more like I really loved him when he went to Biker Taker. That
Yeah,
oh my
me too.
god. That's my favorite. That's still my favorite Undertaker is Biker Taker.
I'll even extend the timeline from that and say I didn't like him until maybe the last couple of years and Last Ride, etc.
Yeah,
Like,
when he started doing all that stuff, like you really get into well, I mean, even with Big Evil, he was like getting more into the wrestling. I mean, I guess even before that, but yeah, I didn't really care too much. Not that, like I said, I didn't hate him or anything. It just he wasn't my number one guy. And then,
just hated him.
well, yeah, I mean,
I hated the Dead Undertaker. I couldn't stand it.
I just remember like that. It
I'm
was
shocked that he wasn't on my list because that is oh my god.
I-
Like, I can't believe I didn't put him on my
I
list.
just remember I was young enough, like when I still thought wrestling was real, and then it was when he floated out of the casket. I was like, okay, this can't be real.
Yeah, oh my
That's when I
god.
was like, all right,
That just
and I was a kid too.
pun
like,
intended, that
and
put the nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like him before, and then when that happened, I'm like, fuck you.
I thought
Like,
wrestling was
I
real.
was just
Then
completely
at that
But
point, I
you
was like,
go
okay, this
from
can't
that
be real.
Dead Undertaker to two back-to-back Triple H's at Mania, which are the matches of the year, two back-to-back Michaels matches, back to like
Yeah, no,
the
that
best
is
matches of the year. Like, you
But
didn't
even
think
as
he was
a
capable
Big
of it.
Evil, like the Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy ladder match was
The ladder match
it made
was
Jeff's
awesome.
career. Like,
Yeah.
like he did a lot of really good stuff.
Just
there.
everything. Like
Match with Flair.
I loved his character. I loved the matches that he was in. I still love. What's still one of my favorite matches is Angle, Rock, and Undertaker.
Taker with a choke slam over top of the ladder has won one hell of a fight. One hell of a fight.
Here is your winner and still the WWE Undisputed Champion, The Undertaker.
This match took a tremendous amount out of The Undertaker, and poor Jeff Hardy gave us everything he had. Yeah, but Undertaker kept his word. He gave us his word that Jeff Hardy would not walk out of this arena. And look at him, he's down.
Oh, so it's you,
Right.
Jess, second round. Sorry. Wow. What's up?
Hey, you on shrooms?
No, I was confused
Huh?
too. I was like, I don't know how I'm losing track of this right now. I hate Dave. Let's see here.
Because both my picks were.
Oh god
monumental.
damn it. Brian
why.
Pillman.
What'd you say?
Oh,
Brian Pillman.
interesting.
Brian Pillman?
Interesting.
Yeah, growing up, like I
a
didn't
fan
like
of-
white meat baby faces, except for Steamboat.
Ah.
I don't know why I like Steamboat, but other than that, I didn't like white meat baby faces. And I know people are like Hogan was, and I was like, he wasn't. He was like a superhero that's different. Like, but Brian Pillman was the when he'd come out and he'd high five everybody.
Oh,
and
the
that's what he
Bengals.
did. And he had the
tights.
Bengals tights on, and I just never got him. And I didn't like certain high flying stuff back then. I didn't like synchronized drop kicks. That's why I didn't really care for the Rock and Roll Express that much. I didn't like that stuff. He did a lot of
don't like
arm
that.
drags and just a lot of face stuff. And I didn't. Again, I was such a young fan. I didn't notice the little things. And then I didn't even really get the loose cannon as it was happening because he got injured and it was interrupted. I know people look back on his thing with Austin now in the WWF with the gun, kind of with a little bit more reverence because like it was out of the box and it was something totally different that, WWE was trying at that time. But I really didn't until I started just seeing the development of other characters now. Like even guys like Bray Wyatt and we're talking about like Jungle Boy and all that stuff and their development. There's so many people that I look and I'm like, that reminds me of Brian Pillman, like just his loose cannon stuff. Because when he started doing the crazy stuff in WCW, he would just laugh like a maniac. And when he went to ECW, like remember that famous
Oh
preview
yeah,
where
dude. I
he
love
was like
that.
gonna say fuck, and he just kept in Joey Styles losing his mind. He's like, and he was like, I don't fucking care. Like, and it was just like he was unhinged, and like I didn't
I
appreciate
loved it.
it. And we didn't get to flush that out in WWF because when he got there, he shattered his ankle and he was never the same. And then he was in that stupid shit with Goldust for the loser wore
Yeah.
dress, and it just wasn't like. But his only
Boom.
bright spot was being part of the Hart Foundation in '97.
Oh yeah.
That was his only bright spot. But I didn't really appreciate Brian Pillman until I go back now. Even the stuff like his matches with Luger in '89, his matches with Wyndham in like '91 was so awesome. And of course, the Liger match and the light
Oh
heavyweight
yeah.
match,
Ligers.
he was way ahead of his time, and I didn't even give him credit for it. And then after he passed, unfortunately, again because of this podcast, the more we go back and watch things, I'm like, dude, Brian Pillman, I slept on him, and I don't know why. Maybe because he never realized his full potential. Hollywood Blondes were amazing. There's a lot of reasons why I should have liked him, but I never gravitated towards him. And then after, like, I would say over the last like 15 years, 10 years, I've really looked back on him going, dude, like, there's a lot of little movements he did in the ring that I was like, people stole that. Everybody
and
does.
I'll do whatever it takes, even if I gotta hack your thumbs off.
Easy, Pillman. Easy, Pillman. You are treading thin. Thin ice.
This might be too low hanging fruit, but Undertaker, I had 3. I had 4 on mine. And Undertaker was one of them also. So just stole that. Thank you.
Cuz
Stole it. John Cena is mine.
okay.
God, yeah, that would be a good one too.
Yeah.
The moment I flipped on him was the U.S. Open Challenge, and I think I talk like we've done this podcast for 4 years now. I talk about it a lot more than I should, but for some reason it might be why I kind of got back into wrestling fully. No, that's not true. But but the amount of matches and without preparation and making other people and showing him as the worker he was instead of the LOL with Cena wins, that U.S. Heavyweight Open Challenge for John Cena was incredible for me. And that was a turning point on my respect for Cena after many, many years of not respecting him at all.
The time for me was when we went and saw, because we saw SummerSlam 2021
Mm-hmm. Allegiant
at
Stadium.
Reliant,
Yep.
and after he lost to Roman, and then Brock came out and F5'd him, he laid in the ring and didn't move while we all walked out. And I remember looking down. I think it was Jonathan I said it to.
Yeah.
I looked down at him and I was like, I'm really gonna miss him when he goes. And that was the first time I'd ever really.
Remember this moment. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. At WrestleMania for the United States Championship, it's going to be Austin Theory versus John Cena. I wish you luck, dude. You're going to need it. Because we all know you don't have it here. We all know you don't have it here. And we all know you don't have it here.
I guess maybe the first couple years I didn't really care too much for this guy.
Tony
But
Khan.
it's kind of the same thing like with John Cena. Like he literally is like the same thing as John Cena as far as that, like where you're gonna be like, I'm gonna miss that guy. Sheamus. He's gonna be one I really miss.
Oh, that's a fucking great one, cuz.
That's a good one.
I was gonna
That's
group
a
him
great
with Mark
one.
Henry because Mark Henry in his
Yes.
later years
Mark
too.
Henry, yeah.
Those two, like, but Sheamus, yeah,
Fuck.
Sheamus is a
God,
big
that should have
time.
been on my list.
I'm the same way. Like when they were pushing him to the moon and he first won the heavyweight
Yeah.
title, I was like, I could have took him or left him. I didn't care.
Yeah.
And then when he came back and started having those matches with Gunther and Drew, I was like, why did I forget that Sheamus was awesome? Like I don't understand. He just Vince leaving had a lot to do with it because he was able to really explode and wrestle the way he wanted to wrestle, and I think that changed a lot for Sheamus too. But yeah, now I can look back on him and going like, Sheamus was in there with all of the greats, Orton, Cena, Edge, like everybody.
I really
like,
became a huge
everybody.
fan when he came back with the Mohawk before he became the Bar with Cesaro. Like that's where I really was like, okay. Yeah, like I really started appreciating him more. Even actually earlier,
God,
like
yeah, the bar with Cesaro. God
yeah,
damn it,
that was
like,
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck.
that's so
Okay, so
Sheamus is gonna be great. Yeah,
my third pick, and it'll close it out. It's the opposite of Cuz's first pick. Mine is the other way around. I loved him growing up. He's the reason why I started watching pro wrestling, and now I don't have any respect for him anymore. And by the way, to preface this, has nothing to do with political stances.
No.
It's Hulk Hogan. Because I
His
was the
backstage
biggest
stuff.
Hulkamaniac. I was the biggest Hulkamaniac. I mean, the biggest. Even when he beat Brett or beat Yoko when they fucked Brett over at WrestleMania 9, I ran out of my living room cheering because in my heart, I was like, I want that late 80s run back. I need it. And as I was getting older, I still believed in him, even when he was getting half booted WCW. And I was just ready to give up on him at a point, too, going, he's probably not going to resign. Like, he's done. And then he turns heel and then he becomes part of the NWO. And then I fell in love with him all over again. And that whole thing happened. But then as the wheels started falling off the WCW bus, you start hearing shit about how hard he was, and you didn't want to put anybody over, and all. And but okay, nobody's breathed really. There's only a handful of people that have been breathing that rare air that Hulk breathed. And then when he came back, yes, I know Cuz gives him credit in the O2 stuff, and it was cool to see him in there with like people like Angle and The Rock and Jericho
But that's
and
when he was
tag
being a
team
piece
with
of shit.
Edge. But like just then he started being a piece of shit with Shawn, when he had to face Shawn. And then in Orton, he beat Randy Orton in 06. He had
Yeah.
no business pinning Randy Orton in 06. Come on. Like, come on. Just because Ron Hogan knows best. It's a story. Like, and then he started. And then his corruption of TNA and all of
Yeah,
that
that's
stuff.
I
And
mean,
then
I
he kept
still don't like him for that stuff. Like, trust me on that. But like
and
I
then just
never
like
yeah.
hearing all of his lies,
Yeah.
everything he lies about,
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah, brother.
He's had one of
Wow.
the most rare and storied careers of all time, but he lies and he doesn't give back to the industry and he doesn't teach people. And there's countless people saying, yeah, he barely lifted his head up when I'm like, hey, Mr. Hogan, how are you? Been a fan. He's like, oh, like he just is a dick. And like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what do you, and then he gets on his whole thing. He's like, oh, the Lord, brother,
Oh,
and
brother.
I'll share the
Oh,
light
Lord.
and no negativity. I'm like, oh, shut up. Like, you shit on everybody, every
No.
chance you got. You are the biggest star, arguably. I know The Rock's bigger, but I mean, like, really, it's him, Hogan, and Austin. Like, those are the three biggest guys that we've ever seen in our lifetime in pro wrestling. And like, you can't give back. You can't have good stories. Like, when's Hogan just thrown up to the fucking performance center and just hung out, brother,
Yeah,
and
just throwing out some
just
Canadian
showed the
destroyers and
one
showing them how to
guy's
do
a
it.
chin locker too. No,
Yeah.
never, because he's fucking too busy for that shit. Like, he's got stuff to do. Like, and I'm Hulk Hogan, and it's like, oh God. Even though the times that I've met him in person, he was always good with fans.
He is,
He
yeah.
never I got a book signed by him. He was super awesome, like very personable, shook my hand,
Does about the
like,
flip-flop, yeah.
asked me my name. Like, he was really good. He's always been good with fans, but he does it because he wants to keep that perception up. Really, when the lights are not on and he's behind the curtain, he's been a dick so many times and just had irrational thoughts. I mean, him and Bischoff just sank the fuck out of TNA, and that was Dixie's fault too. But I mean, like, it was just they sank the fuck out of it, and they didn't care. Him soaking up a big ass contract for like 3 years that he knew they couldn't afford, but I'm Hogan, brother. Like, yeah, but you can't wrestle. I know. Doodle 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 doodle. Like, just it was bullshit. Like, all of it was bullshit.
No,
It was
yeah,
all
that stuff.
trash.
Yeah.
And I really got soured. Then the Death of WCW documentary that came out again just unearthed all that. I know it was slanted, but like, he lies about everything so much, and everybody else has the same story that he didn't want to lose ever. That didn't work for me, brother. Is a nasty phrase that got coined because he never wanted to do business with anybody else. Like, and if he didn't think you were like drawing like him, no, I'm never losing to you. Heaven forbid you put someone else over. Heaven forbid you give someone else the rub. But instead, it's like, no, I'm not. Why would I lose to them? And then what, brother?
As long as I've known you, that is the toughest thing I'm sure for you to actually probably say and admit on the podcast.
It sucks.
Like, that
it really sucks
huge.
that like I loved
People
him
don't realize
so much.
how
and,
big
like,
of a Hulkamaniac you are and how much you love
I
him.
rode with my white knuckle and teeth gritted even the WCW days before he turned heel when he was getting booed out of the arenas. I was still like, no. Like,
That
he's
is
still Hulk
why
Hogan.
Austin is the
Like,
greatest of all time.
but just I'm so disappointed in him. Like, I think that's my
No,
biggest
it is.
like
I mean,
I'm
he's
so disappointed in the lack of effort he gave back
sucks.
to an industry and the fans that gave him millions and millions and millions of dollars. And just, like, again, all political shit aside, it was just it's
No,
a
it has nothing to do with
disappointment.
that. I mean,
It's
Yeah.
and matter,
I'll
but he
get
could
that
vote.
vote.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, he disappoints me as a human, like, and as somebody who had a chance to give country and get a good story out of any. It was always just like, he was himself, or all he talks was himself, or CM Punk has that story. It was one of the Raw shows, and he walked back, and Hogan was walking. Hey, Mr. Hogan, really nice to meet you. And Hulk just walked. It pretended he.
Make money together.
And then
yeah.
15 minutes, he was in the locker room, and Stone Cold walks up to him. CM Punk, big fan.
I'm saying
Punk's hand
greatest
was
of all
just to him or whatever, and that's how I knew. Like, I had heard stories before, but I'd never met him. And he's like, so after fuck Hulk Hogan.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was like because somebody asked him about the video show, and he told the story, and he's like, so fuck Hulk. He's like, the less I can talk about Hulk Hogan, the better. And it was like, ouch, like, damn, like, it's just when the youth under you, just every time you were there, you didn't leave an impression on them, and when you did, it was bullshit. Like, disappointed is my word. But
I have zero faith in Hulk Hogan as a man who's 60 years old and tries to dress like he's 18, and he lives on the Jersey Shore. And for a guy I've never met, I've formulated enough opinions about him just from being around him and like his business acumen and stuff like that. That I really trust that he's not in this for TNA. He's not in this for the business. He's in this for himself. And Hulk Hogan, I hope you prove me wrong. I hope there's competition, because when there's competition, we step up, everybody makes more money, and I think it makes the business healthier.
But well, this was fun, actually. So I'm sure we'll do another part on this. I love part 2s and 3s and 4s. So for audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. Watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our wrestling channel, and on Daily Motion at O.W.P 2019. On social media, we are on Instagram, Facebook, and X under at O.W.P 2019, and our wrestling podcast for Jess, Cuz, and Craig. Signing off.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. I should have thought of my own phrase, but I'm just going to have a good one.
Yeah, the match. What?
And stop.